Here we are.
Hey, yeah,
Hi,
here we
guys.
are. You're on the wrong
Welcome.
side.
I know. What happened? Hang on a second. Wait a minute. Can I make that happen?
Host is on the
left. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for coming in, finding Your Music Mojo with me, Dawn from Two Hip Chicks, and this guy.
I'm TC from TKR VideoCentral. And hello to Yvonne, who just popped in. Hi, everybody.
Hi guys, welcome. Yeah, when we came into into the studio early and talked a little bit before we came live, and we were in this position, and now for whatever reason,
all these positioning things they're just out of control.
I don't know anymore. So yeah, it's just the magic of media.
Yep.
It's all you. So yeah, welcome Yvonne, welcome, and thank you for coming in. And anybody else who trickles in or shows up or just kind of pops in, where you're more than welcome to come on in. TC, where I were talking about different things, and I came up with the idea of let's talk about some influencers in our lives. And I know you guys have heard us talk about these people before, maybe not. I might be bringing some new stuff in that I haven't talked about before, and TC may as well. But I thought it was a good idea to just kind of go over those, because a lot of times you'll hear these are the artists we really like, but you don't know why, or you don't know what the story behind it.
What makes them the magic in our lives, right?
Exactly. And Patrick, welcome, honey. Welcome.
Patrick! Woohoo!
That's why we're talking about, and we want you guys to get a little introspective and figure out what artists and why for you guys as well, that were either influences in your life or just turned you on to that group or artist for whatever reason, and kind of give us a little bit of information on that as well. Think about it. We have 5 each. Yes, sir.
I do.
Said? You've got 5. I've got 5. I'm sure the list could be longer.
Oh yeah, I've done 30 plus influencers episodes. So yeah.
Speaking of that, go into the description below the video, and there is a link to, if you haven't watched any of them, or if you're not familiar with them, TC does a great series of shows called Influencers, basically. And it is a really cool group of videos on all the different artists and the backstories and all of that fun stuff too.
Yep. I spend one episode on each artist or thing that influenced me. So come look at it. It's a good show.
Look at it. It's really cool. Just watch them while you're doing stuff, because they're kind of cool. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Why don't you start, since you're on the host end this week?
I'm on the host end. I'm on the end of the host. Okay, fine. What I'm going to do is I think I'll go in chronological order.
Okay.
Because no good reason really that I can think of. But here we go. All right. So, chronologically speaking, let me pull this one up first. So, when I was but a young child, back when I was a poor white child, my aunt, who was, I believe, 11 years older than me, so she was in her teens when I was like 11. Right? 11, 12. And I'm trying to think, what year was this? Probably 1968. So I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
Right? Ish. And she was listening to, because she was a teenager, hippie, I don't know. But she was into, this, I've talked before about the Moody Blues. So this is the album that she had on 8-track tape, mind you. He had this one on 8-track tape, and this is the Moody Blues in Search of the Lost Chord. And on this is the gatefold too. I was lucked out and I actually got like the gatefold. These are the Moody Blues. If you've never seen them before, you don't know who they are. Bunch of fine young men and some older men. The mustache on the guy in red just cracks me up. That's definitely a porn stash for sure. But all we had was the 8-track tape. So all we had was this, I had this really cool. And I was drawn to the cover first, but then the music is really cool as well. A couple songs that I really connected with, which is strange. The whole album is good, but House of Four Doors is amazing. I really love that one. And I don't know if you know these or not, TC, if you're familiar with them. Okay.
I'm not nearly as familiar with them as you are. I know most of their hits, and that's about it.
Ride My Seesaw. Ride My Seesaw is a good one, and Dr. Livingston. So pretty much anything on this A side of this album I fell in love with. And then I started checking out more of their stuff, and then they had a whole bunch of different This is Search of the Lost Chord, and they had Children's Children, and they had some other stuff. Every Good Boy Deserves Favor, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they all, I I don't know what it is. Now, what would you classify this style as?
I honestly don't know. They've gone so many different ways over the years. Like so many of the British bands from the 60s,
Yeah.
you'll have an album that's pure on, full on rock, and then you'll
Yep.
have ones that lean progressive with lots of extra
Yeah.
instrumentation. And I
This,
mean,
yeah, this was kind of. I think this had more of a almost a psychedelic kind of feel
Psychic
to it.
too, yeah. Psych too.
And I, for whatever reason, that kind of hit with me at that age. And of course, there's probably a little bit of hero worship for this older aunt, right? Who's, you're
Hmm.
trying to emulate that as well. But the music still sticks with me, and I still really enjoy it. So, and that was 1968. That album came out. So 8 years old.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, right? And 8 tracks. Just let that sink
Just
in.
8 tracks alone are scary because I had a few when I was a kid too. And oh, geez.
Yeah. The problem is when you know the 8 track is, so you know it so well that you've heard it so many times that you wait for the clunk when you hear the piece of music, and it's not in the middle of the music, that you just
Yeah.
wait for it. It's not
Yeah.
there, and there's something missing. Yeah.
La, 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 la.
Clunk.
Click. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was saying that.
exactly.
That was the one good thing about the Frampton Comes Alive 8 track. It wasn't in the middle of the song. They did all of them between, which was great.
Yep, just during it. Yep.
That was the first
No,
place I ever got that one.
for sure.
My first influencer is not music in the way that most people would think of it. And I've talked about this on my show too. My first and biggest influencer in my musical life was my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, Joanne, was a music lover, and she passed it on to me at a very young age. I mean, she always had the radio on. She always had 45s mostly. She didn't buy a lot of albums. She had a lot of singles. And I remember listening to her. She would be playing Pete Fountain, Boots Randolph, Al Martino. She loved Al Martino. She loved Dean Martin, which is where my love for Dean Martin comes from, I think. And then later on, when I was 3, she gave me a suitcase player. I've told you about that. It was a little blue GE powder blue suitcase player for my Kitty records and other 45s. And that's when I started getting into it. I was 3 or 4. And so that's been 55, 56 years ago. And I've never looked back. That led me to discovering all different types of music because my mother listened to stuff. My friends, my babysitters, they would all bring 45s over to play on my little player. And so I was exposed to all different types of music from the very beginning, formulating different ideas and different sounds. And that's all of the influence that my mom had on me. And I think that we started to diverge from our tastes. When I was in junior high and high school, I started listening to different stuff that she was like, "What is that?"
Puberty hits, right?
Time,
and then
the first time she ever heard the Rock Lobster by the B-52s, that was a fun day. I was laughing my ass off because she had no idea what it was. I was 16, 17 when that came out. And it was just like, she's like, "What is that? Oh, that's terrible." No, it's Mom. It's awesome. So my first big influencer in music was my mom, without question.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's like I'm sure more generations than just ours have gone through that. What is that music you're listening to?
Oh, I know. Well, that's what actually that came up on they were doing, Frank was on Channel 33 was doing most controversial statements, and somebody said, there are no controversial songs, and you're not supposed to understand today's music when you're an adult. That's part of the purpose. Your kids are supposed to like it and not you. And I'm like, that's true. Everywhere, every time.
Like clockwork.
Every 20 years. I don't get acts that are out today, some of them that the kids like, but I like some of them. It's weird because I always like a little bit. And of course, I think like a 16-year-old. So that's the problem.
You're not the first person who said that, and I definitely been accused of that. So you're in good company.
Keeps us young.
You're in good company, trust me. All right, checking the one off. So I got okay. I did Moody Blues. Next up, we're gonna go into familiar territory here for sure. We got this guy, and
Oh
this,
yes.
although this is not their first album, this is the first exposure I had to the Carpenters.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up the older ones later, or the older one. Wasn't there one or more before this one, or was this
Two. That's the
two?
third
Yep,
album.
this is the third. Um, so this we had just moved, so it was probably 1972, 73. When did this come out? 71. So it was 1972. We'd moved from one town to another, and I was new in town, and I didn't know anybody. And a neighbor boy, which it didn't turn out well, but a neighbor boy put me on the Carpenters. It didn't turn out well. It just didn't. It did. And the only thing I got out of that relationship was this album, basically. So turn me on the rack. Now the bad relationship didn't spoil me for the Carpenters. You know what I mean? It didn't
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my god, I can never listen to that again because it
Yeah.
reminds. No,
Yeah.
no. So this album for sure. And there's Rainy Days and Mondays is on this one. Saturday. There's just a lot of good songs on this one.
Yeah, that's a great one to start with. That was
Yeah,
a great one to start with.
it really was for sure. And I definitely recommend if you guys haven't heard, if you're not, you haven't heard the Carpenters that much, definitely this is a good album to pick up on either Spotify. I don't know if you can hear the whole thing on there or not.
Yeah.
YouTube, they've definitely got a playlist of it. And then Richard does Drusilla Penny, which is, kind of depressingly fun. But there also is on here is the Bacharach David medley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's got all the stuff basically that, Dionne Warwick sang most of it.
Yeah.
So, which turned me on to all that too, and then I could, got into that. So this would be the one. So like I said, bad relationship, but a great, great prize, a consolation prize for the relationship, I should say.
Yeah.
And then of course it just fed my whole interest in the Carpenters. And they at that point they were climbing up the charts and in popularity, and there was just more of their music available. They were doing TV specials and they were doing TV shows, and so they were definitely around. You could pick their music up relatively easily, 45s and albums. And at that point, we're still doing albums, I believe, but also you can get them on cassette or 8-track.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get far away from 8-tracks.
You could probably get it on reel to reel too at that time.
I bet you could. So so that's the one. So the story behind it was a really bad, crappy relationship with somebody I met. Turned me on to the Carpenters, but like I said, the best consolation prize ever for a bad relationship.
Yeah. Well, actually,
lost love, right?
Yeah, actually, that's, since we're doing these in chronological order, that's the next one on my list too. This is I got the greatest hits album at one of them, Yesterday Once More collection. I think this is this is the UK pressing. I did buy the UK pressing of this. But I found them, the second I heard Close to You, I was gone. I was 6 when that came out, 6 or 7. And I was gone and loving every second of it. And like you, every album seemed to get better. I got Close to You first, and went back, got Ticket to Ride. I'd love to get Offering, which is the same album with a different cover. And it's expensive.
Good luck with that. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's like $400. I'm not going to spend $400 on an album. And then, as they went on through the years, and people used to think of them as square.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't hip enough. And yet the number of artists over the years that have cited Karen and Richard Carpenter as influencers in their lives, quite a few alternative bands have said that. And there was an album they released, If I Were a Carpenter, back in 1995, I think it was mostly alternative rock acts who all credited the Carpenters with their interest in music. And it was terrific for the most part. There was a couple I didn't like. I didn't like Sonic Youth's version of Superstar. I didn't care for Shonen Knife's Top of the World. The rest of that album was fabulous.
They did covers basically of Carpenter songs. Did. But they all
great, but
influenced by them, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, so I always, to me, this is always going to be the number one, my all-time favorite. I mean, it's close with another one I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, but it's I would still be buying them if Karen were still here. I would
Oh,
still be
sure.
buying their stuff. They would still be recording. I would still be buying it. To me, they still are the perfect influencer, and everything about them, no matter what kind of music it was, I enjoyed it.
Agreed. Oh, hey, Jennifer. Jennifer popped in.
Hi,
It's at
Jennifer.
Patrick Murphy Center. Yeah, baby. That Patrick Murphy, he gets all over the place. Thanks for coming in, hon. So what we're talking about basically is artists or groups that had influenced us and the type of music that we enjoy and what kind of backstories of what brought it about or what brought those artists into our lives.
Hmm.
And so we would love to hear from you guys too. You can just type it in the chat. We're not picky.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to know the song to sing it or anything. You just type it in the chat. We're good. So Carpenters was so we matched on one.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise
I
me.
knew we would on that one. We always do
Yeah,
because we're
we
both
always.
huge fans, and we've known that since we first met. So
Yep,
the two of us connected over Carpenters and Miko. It's like,
that's true.
okay.
And I didn't do Miko this time. Maybe you did. I don't know.
No, I did not.
It was well. There's only 5, right? You can only have 5.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh shit.
And I have another that's not quite music in the way that you're thinking of it.
Right.
So
Okay, and that's fine. No problem. All right, next up, 1977. So I'm trying to think. It was 16, 17. So again, not a great time for me. I had a lot of hard years, let me tell you. Not a great time for me, but I do remember spending a lot of time alone in my room with my record player. Who
sounds like
didn't?
me at that age too.
Yeah. And I had never, I mean, I had heard some of the songs by this artist before on the radio and such, but for whatever reason, I got this album, and I think it was a gift, but I don't know because somebody knew I liked them. There's this album, which is Barry Manilow Live. First of all, it's a double album. So, as and I also have the gatefold. This is not actually my copy. This is the copy I have in the basement for what I have to play yet to find out if it's any good. So it was basically Barry Manilow in concert live with the girls. And do you remember who his girls were? Lady Flash was
Lady
Def
Flash, yeah.
Bird, Reparterata, whatever, and Monica Buress.
Yeah, Monica Barres and Deborah Bird I knew because they were. Monica was later on Star Search as a female vocalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job. The band, everything, the audience was just perfect. It was recorded, I believe, in L.A., wasn't it?
No, I think it was recorded on his Broadway show.
Oh, on his Broadway show. Okay.
I might be wrong though. I don't know. I know he had one on Barry Manilow on Broadway too in the 80s or 90s.
This one he just all the songs I knew, right? So I'd sing along with those, and then the other ones, the one that really got me with this album and just kind of literally, I think, set just straightened my brain out as far as moving forward because it was a bad time for me. Was Daybreak.
Yeah.
So the live version of Daybreak, I don't know if you probably heard it, or I know you've heard it, but other people. There was a studio version of it as well, but the live version really kind of just.
The live version was the hit, and it was better than the studio version.
Totally
I never
better.
cared for the studio version that well.
Totally better. Totally better. Yeah. So, and I don't think it has anything to do with my name being Dawn and Dawn being Daybreak or anything, but it did kind of. I played this album to death. So to the point where it, just got so worn from a crappy turntable that, but yeah, that was definitely one. And that was kind of just drew me out of that funk, I guess you could say. I had a funk going on at that time. And just kind of made me realize that I know it's cliche, but it gets better. So, that was
for
me.
There's songs like that can do that for everybody, What other Manilow albums do you have?
Oh,
a lot of
good God. I have a lot.
So you have most of them. So like I do.
I have a lot. Yeah. I liked the One Voice album. I really did.
I love One Voice. One of his best.
Yeah, for sure.
I also think Here Comes the Night from 1983 is way underrated. I talked about it on Vinyl Recall a couple of weeks ago. It's a great album.
I have that one as well. I've got both of his greatest hits, I think. I think it's 1, 2. Didn't he do? Yeah, he only did 2.
There's 3. There's volume. They've put them out on CD in 3 volumes, but there was only 2 of them on vinyl.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I've got that one, and yeah, definitely, I've got all those. I could look up in Discogs to be sure and see what else I got.
That's okay. You don't have to do that.
Okay,
I was just thinking.
I got them.
Okay, so like you, I went through periods of kind of craziness in my life when I was a kid. But one thing I discovered, and one thing that my mom and my then stepdad found out, that if they had plans on Saturday, they had to make sure I had a radio, because I would not leave. I would not leave the house unless the radio was on in the car, or I had my transistor with me, because for Saturday from 2 to 5 and later from 1 to 5, there was one other big influence in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Top 40 with Casey Kasem. This is actually from 1992, and I do collect radio transcripts. I have a number of these on both vinyl and CD. But without Casey Kasem, I probably would not be the chart fanatic that I am today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I have 20 some chart books up here from the Whitburn Library and others. I have my own charts. I became interested in radio shows. I've got copies of Rick D's show. I've got copies of National Music Survey and all these other ones. And it's what led me to being the vinyl community's resident pop dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that weirdo that likes pop music, not classic.
You know that guy. Yeah, that guy.
He likes his pop music. But yeah, and I was there every week listening to Casey Kasem. When I got older, I started writing down the top 40 every week, because I really enjoyed doing that and listening to the shows, and Casey Kasem, listening to him tell the stories of the songs and such.
The dedications and stuff, yeah.
His dedication
well,
later, yeah. and they did other features on various artists each week, and it was a history lesson for me. Mm-hmm. In many ways, and learning more about the artist led me to other things like Song Hits magazine, which was out there, which had like average of 30 or 40 songs a month. They had the printed lyrics to. Everybody used to go crazy. How do you know the lyrics to every damn song on the radio? It's because I had Song Hits every month. And how do you know this about that artist? Well, if you listen to American Top 40, you'd know this.
Yeah.
So yeah. American Top 40 was my real gateway. I mean, I'd started listening to the radio with my mom, and I loved to this day. I loved radio until the late 90s, and then it went straight into the toilet. Ever since it became a Clear Channel / iHeartRadio mess, Top 40 radio has never been the same. And so I don't listen to the radio much anymore. I prefer listening to online radio stations or Sirius, which have more stuff aimed at me. But the last great vestige of Top 40 radio was Radio Disney in the late 90s. They had a format that may have been aimed at kids, but the sound was what I remember growing up with. And I loved Radio Disney. It was great. So yeah, American Top 40 and pop radio, another influencer in my life, for sure.
For sure. Okay. Oh, let's go chat a second. Mom Knows Treasure Supremes, Michael Jackson, Temptation, Marvin Gaye, and Etta James.
Oh, Yvonne, those are all good.
They're all good. And I didn't go back that far, but when I grew up, we had it was 16 WTRU, right? 1600.
Yeah, I say you said you lived in an area that played a lot of Motown.
Motown for sure, because we were in Michigan and we were in a predominantly black area. So yeah, I listened to a lot of that, and those definitely. Me and my little brother used to do the Jackson 5 thing and try to do the Jackson 5 thing. Let's put it that way. We weren't that good. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of that. So a lot of Motown, R&B kind of stuff for sure. Love Etta James for sure. Don is here. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, Don.
And here we go with Manilow. So yeah, yeah. Oh. Yep.
Yeah, he was.
I would have loved to see that.
He did her arranging. He produced the Divine Miss M, if I'm not mistaken, right, Don? And he did a lot of other production over the years too, as well as his own stuff, which he never produced his own stuff until later. Yeah. Ron Dante did most of it. So,
but I would have loved to see that show. That would have been a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Patrick says, I remember listening to Top 40 back in the day for sure. Yeah, that was all the thing, right? I was not happy when Rick Dees. I'm not a Rick Dees fan for whatever reason. Long distance dedications would give me chills or make me cry. Yeah, I know, right? It was just, it's like it wasn't more than just my dog, passed away or whatever. It's like I missed. Well, and that's
I was
still
just
heartbreaking.
waiting for you to bring that up. There's
And
an
that is still
infamous clip out
heartbreaking.
there of Casey losing it on while recording a long
Oh yeah, I
distance
remember that.
dedication using Shannon from Henry Groves, and I don't blame him. I mean, you can only use that song so many times, and it's like, okay, get some more, pick some more original dedications than that.
Yeah,
And he did
but
the same
there
thing
were a
when he had
lot of good
Casey.
ones, though. I mean, people who had lost contact with people. He tried, right? He tried.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for his staff, though. They must have just had a really hard time
yeah.
after he got a little more obnoxious. DC, welcome. DC Cells is here. Trivia on Top 40 was so much extra. We had no internet back then. I loved hearing those stories. Yeah, it's like trivia.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
must have been good at that. I would think you would be good at that. TC.
Of trivia?
Yeah,
What kind of trivia?
like music trivia.
Yeah,
Yeah, I bet you would
I
be good at
tried to do good at it's that's what Obscuria is all about, music trivia.
Right, exactly. So I bet you would be good at it. So if we ever meet up together and we go to a bar or something where they have music trivia, you're on my team. You know that, right?
Kim can play with you.
Oh,
She
Kim,
beats me. I mean,
all right, you
she
and
just
Kim are
has
on my
this.
team
She
then.
has this magnetic memory when it comes, and she can get a song title. I can barely hear it for 5 or 10 seconds, and I'll get it. But the second she hears the note, she knows what it is. She usually has to fall on me to get the artist.
All right, so
I
name
can
that
do
tune
that,
and also
but
something.
so should we ever have tag team Jeopardy, we'll be good at it.
I love it. I love it. No, definitely. You're all on my team. That's way it's gonna work. For sure. Let's see. Hi, we'd like to know the pink side windows. Yeah. How else would we know what pink side winders?
Pink
Side winders.
Sidewinders was.
Pink side winder. Pink side. Oh my god, I can't even say it. Pink
I
side winder.
have to remember. I don't know what that one is, D.
I'm thinking now, and I don't know either. But the ones, speaking of trivia, music questions and stuff. When they play the song backwards, I'm terrible with that. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they'll play something backwards, and you got to name the
Sometimes,
group and the
yeah.
artist.
It's Kim can usually pick that out too. She's really good at that stuff.
Gone. Can't do it. I don't know what pink sidewinders are either. Yvonne's like, I don't know. Oh, pink shoelaces.
Pink shoelaces. Yeah, I know that one, but
tan shoes and pink shoelaces. All right, is it my turn again?
It is.
Well, 1988.
Oh, DC says it's tennis shoes. Billy Joel.
Oh, pink side.
So
okay.
Used that. Must have used that in a song.
What's the matter with the car I'm driving? That song? Yeah. Okay. I get it.
Oh yeah, pair of pink sidewinder. That's absolutely
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I remember it that she brings it up. It pops into my head.
There you go. Bright orange pair of pants. Got it. Okay, so in 1993, actually, 88 was when she first started coming out. No pun intended. But 1988 was her first album. Let's put it that way. But 1993 I was working at Walmart. Yes, I am too a previous Walmart employee. I was working at Walmart in the electronics department as a department manager. And this artist came out with an album. She'd been producing albums along, but this album, which I think was her third, fourth, fifth. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. Sorry. I'm looking at the cheat sheet over here. Third album, maybe.
Okay,
anyway,
it's not what I thought it was.
Yeah, you know who it is. This
I
artist,
might, but I'm not. It's not the one I first thought of. It might be the other one I'm thinking of.
There's more than one.
The description and the time frame. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So anyway, this album came out and it was a huge hit. Huge hit. She that hit. So you hear it a lot, right? It was on the radio. It was playing. We could play it in the store. All that kind of thing. So I really kind of liked this music. Later found out that she was gay. And then because it was all kind of tied in with that coming out thing. So I don't have that album, the album was called Yes I Am by Melissa Etheridge. I
Okay, I
have this
was right
one,
the first
which
time.
is her first album. I have this one, which is her first album, and then of course, like with um, Barry Manilow and with the Carpenters, I didn't come into the first album. I didn't catch this when it was new and when they just come out, but I did catch up later with all the other albums that she put out. But yeah, and part of that was part of my coming out process as well. Shortly thereafter,
Mm-hmm.
so that definitely struck a chord, if you want to say that. But just the style, the bluesy rock, I love that. Um, chicks with guitars have always been a turn on for me, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, what can I say? I don't know. But yeah, for sure. And then, of course, later on, got to go see her in Chicago, which was really cool. Mary and I got to go see her in Chicago, which was just wonderful. So it was, yeah, Melissa Etheridge. It's like the later years of my life, the second half of my life, kind of a soundtrack for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best way to put it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, love Melissa Etheridge.
Strangely
Still,
enough, a friend tried to get me into Melissa Etheridge right around when the first album came out. I never really acquired the taste and the like for her until 2010
okay.
with I think it was called, was it Endless Love?
Fearless Love.
Fearless Love. I
Yeah,
love that album. Oh
it's
my
a good album.
lord, that album is awesome.
It's a good
And
album.
I've been a fan ever since, and of course I got to like her later or earlier stuff too. So
Hmm.
that was really something. Yeah. Um Okay, next one chronologically in mine we'll jump ahead till I was older. Now I stayed top 40 oriented most of my kid years, most of my teen years, and disco. Um, I thought about Donna Summer, but I've talked a lot about her too. But a family friend introduced me to the AOR scene when I was a sophomore in high school. And in early 1980, our local AOR station started playing the first album by this band. And I immediately
Tell
loved
everybody
him.
what AOR is, just in case they don't know.
Album oriented rock.
Thank
It's
you.
what now many, I don't know if there are still popular ones around the country. I know we still have WAAF in Boston, but a
Yeah,
lot of them have morphed into classic rock now rather than playing current stuff. But
we used to
they
have
were playing current.
LAV. LAV was Grand Rapids in Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
same thing.
Creme FM in Spokane was our album oriented rock station, and they played new wave, they played heavy metal,
Yeah.
and the first album came out and I liked it. And they didn't really click with the first album. It took the second and third album to put them over the top, but without a doubt I picked the third album out of the bin. This is Def Leppard.
Pyromania.
I
Yay!
am a huge Def Leppard fan, and from On Through the Night, which was the debut album, right straight
Yeah.
through. Although I'm going to be totally honest, I'm not enamored with the brand new album at all.
Yeah, I saw that you said you kind of
It's what they've done with the new album. Um, I can't remember the name of it. Drastic Symphonies, which just came out 2 weekends ago. They've taken some classic stuff and reimagined them with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra,
okay.
and
Wow.
some of it is good and some of it isn't. And I'm like, I listened to Pour Some Sugar on Me, and I was like, what did you do to my song?
Wow. I'm
But
trying to imagine that
I
with an
mean,
orchestra.
it's really different, and I mean, they rearranged them. Animal's not bad, and I haven't finished listening to it. I have to take it one song at a time because it's literally messing with my head. And I know it's something new that they wanted to try, but man, some of it is just like out there. And
How are the,
that's heavy criticism considering I've liked damn near everything they've done. I've loved
how
everything they've done.
how are the critics receiving it? I mean, how is it doing?
It's getting mixed reviews,
Okay. I
about
was
the same as
wondering.
me.
Okay. And I'm wondering also if it's like, diehard original fans versus like people who are just discovering them from this album. I wonder
Yeah.
what the feedback is.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. The time, as they say, the jury is still out. We'll
Yeah.
see how it is. But yeah, I love them, and I've loved them all through. My favorite album is Adrenalize from 1992,
Yeah.
and they're just fantastic all the way through. And
I'm really having a hard time figuring how. I guess I gotta go find the tracks and listen to them
yeah, it's
to
on
hear the.
Spotify. All the other ones, Drastic Symphonies, the Goodbye for Good this time or something, which I think came off the last album, or it might be brand new, is really good. And Animal isn't terrible, but Pour Some Sugar on Me just totally frightened the hell out of me. And a couple of the other ones too. And I'm like, if it was leaning toward ballad, it's okay. And then if it was up tempo, one of the more rocker numbers, and they've slowed it way down and did the symphony thing, it's like, oh boy, I don't know. I've got to finish listening to it. I'm still, like I said, I'm digesting it one day at a time. So we'll see what happens.
Such culture shock that he can't listen to the whole album at once. That's terrifying.
Well, I've been a fan for 40 years, 40 plus years. So it's hard.
I'm gonna pop back in the chat here a second. Hold on. Oh, we got the 10. Oh yeah, I left that up. Sorry. Pink shoes all on the internet. Pink sidewinders or style slip-on shoes. Okay, yes. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Some wear sneakers and others more dressy leather loafers. I've never called them that, so it must be a thing. Everyone's doing the dance now. Yes, John comes to the rescue with the. I like going through old rock and roll songs from the 50s and 60s that were covered in Spanish and finding the original English versions. That's why I know the Pink Shoelaces song. Yeah. Pink Shoelaces. I remember that song. I did have some records from, my aunts and
hand-me-downs.
Yep, hand-me-down. I remember Blue Navy. Blue Navy, blue, I'm as blue as I can be. That song. Definitely the Elvis's, anything Elvis. Hound Dog and all that. And then there was Suspicion, which I cannot remember the artist, but I'll remember the label if I see it on a record. So, anyway, love No Souvenirs. Yeah, great. That is, I agree. Great song. Like Selena not only Taste of Honey covered Sukiyaki, but Selena did it in Spanish. I didn't know that.
And I actually have a duo that does it in Dutch.
Cool. It's a great little tune.
It is. The melody's so pretty that you can hear it in any language and it works.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. Is that an album-oriented rock station where she was at? Probably.
KLOS.
You just don't find them anymore. You're right. It's turned into like classic rock.
Yeah. AAF up here still plays modern rock, current stuff, but that's it. They used to have 5 or 6 of them up here that did it, and AAF's the lone holdout, and WFNX is long gone. They were the alternative station. They went under years ago. So
yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more left. How many you got left?
1.
All right, making it work. Hey, Mary's here. Welcome.
Hey, Mary.
Talk about that's pretty good timing, sweetie. We're down to our last one, and this is one that my wife knows as well. So let me see. Mary can put it in the chat. We've been together a long time. 20 some years, all right? So 20 some years ago, we figure that would be what, 2001, maybe, call it that. As you're well aware, I had my coming out experience. But then I had a relationship experience, and I know that this artist or this group or these 2 artists, whatever you want to call it, have been producing music for a good long time, well in early 80s or mid to late 80s for sure. Not a very mainstream act. They acoustic act and more of a folk act than would be. You know what I'm talking about, right? You're like,
yeah, I do now. Yeah,
you do now. So more folk music, but
because we've talked about all kinds of stuff besides on the show, so we know all about each other's stuff.
That's true. But so I had been listening to them for a while after I found them. After there's this whole, what do I want to say? You get a gay starter kit, I guess is what you want to call it. Once you come out, you get your toaster oven. You get your, you get your
Pride music kit.
You get your Pride music kit. So you get all that. And so certain artists are definitely in that Pride, that whole gay lesbian artist kit. And that one of those artists are the Indigo Girls. And I only have a tape here. So I, of course, started listening to the Indigo Girls because I think their harmonies and their the acoustic sound and it kind of jives with me. Just for the kind of music I like. I like tight harmonies. I like good music. I like story. So all of that. And then of course comes along. So I'm listening to these songs for a while. Then comes along a relationship, which some of the as and in my history here, you've seen, as I talked about previously, like the Carpenters I got into because of a bad relationship with
Uh-huh.
someone. This kind of the song found me, or the relationship found me in the middle of listening to these artists. And there's one song that spoke so strongly to me at that time. It's called "Collecting You." Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you've never heard the song, the opening lines are, and understand that Mary and I got together because we worked in the same building, right? So we weren't in the same department, we weren't on the same floor, but we were in the same building.
Mm-hmm.
The opening to this song is, um, "I could paint you in the dark because I've studied you with hunger like a work of art." There you go. So anyway, that song spoke to me, and that's why, because we would see each other almost, every day, but we became friends, and then we became more than friends. But it was definitely a song that kind of encapsulated my feelings, and eventually, I'm sure, hers. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And she can justify that or not in the chat. She can come up with whatever she wants.
Yeah, I like Don's comment too. You get a Wizard of Oz media of choice also.
Oh yeah, that's right.
um. Oh, there you go. There's what Mary says.
Aw. Yeah, exactly. So that
Okay,
was
I'm gonna deviate from what I had planned for the fifth one because it just reminded me of something here.
okay.
Um, I don't have anything to show. I've got several of the albums. I'm not gonna dig them
Aw.
out right now, but I one of the things when my wife and I got together, we came together because she joined a fan club I had for an old British television series,
Oh,
and
cool.
we started corresponding. And the very first time we spoke on the phone, I asked her to marry me like 3 times in jest. It was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't have any idea that 2 years later we would come together as a real couple, and we've been together for 30 years this year. So it's
Lovely.
like,
Congratulations.
yeah, it's crazy. But there were a bunch of songs when we had started to fall for each other, and we were living. I was in Ohio, and she was here in Boston, and there were a number of songs that were get under your psyche and make you realize, this long distance relationship needs to be worked out.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
one of the albums that made me first start thinking about stuff, Kim said that Love of a Lifetime by Firehouse was our
Mm-hmm.
song, and I always picked a song called Needin' Someone by The Party.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to um, an artist who got under my skin for the first time because of the stuff that she was singing, and definitely influenced me because I ended up becoming a fan of her overall. I didn't really know her that well until this one album came out. Um, the song was Constant Craving.
Yeah.
Katie Lang. I've actually got her scheduled for the influencers this season at some point.
Actually,
Haven't done her yet.
that's on my gay music kit too. That's
Yeah,
another.
probably. But Constant Craving and that album Ingenue from 1992,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
played that thing to death. I loved that album.
it's a good album.
Love that song. And then I went back and found her earlier stuff, and I've been a fan of her later stuff. And I felt bad because we had tickets to see her live, and
Oh,
Kim came down with the flu,
oh.
and we couldn't go. So I gave them to a coworker, and I had to come home early because it was unexpected. They'd sent her home from work,
Mm-hmm.
and she was just like miserable and crying. I'm like, Kim, it's not that big a deal. We'll get to see her eventually.
Yeah.
And my friend Scott said she was marvelous in concert, and I'm sure she was. And I mean, the tickets were freebies from the promo people that we were working for a record store chain at the time,
Oh
so
wow.
I didn't lose any money on it. But yeah, I have loved her since that album came out, and I do. She has definitely figured on a lot of the ways that I think about romantic music now,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Ingenue is an album filled with torch songs, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
I mean, Constant
yeah.
Craving, I loved that song, and I couldn't, it wasn't out on a single. You had to get the album in order
Right.
to get it. It was just a radio single. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to buy the album, but I went ahead and got the CD, and now I have it on vinyl in two different ways. I bought it as part of the Coleman collection when Mazzy sold it a couple of years ago.
Ooh.
And
Yeah, I
it's
don't have that
just,
one.
I love that album and I love that song. And Katie became a very big artist in my life as a result of that.
Very
Go out of
cool.
my way all the time when she's on television. I'll go out of my way to watch her. She's fabulous.
Yeah, she's amazing. Her voice is amazing. Her
Yeah.
musical phrasing is amazing. She just does a great job, for sure. Let me check. I've way lost myself in the chat here. Hold on.
Everybody's jumping ahead.
Where'd I leave off?
Welcome, Michael.
Welcome, Michael. Oh my gosh, look at all these people coming in here. We got Momster, we got Mary, we got Michael, we got Beth.
Oh, Momster's here? I didn't see
Momster
Momster.
popped in too. Yeah, she's
Oh, yeah,
up.
she is.
Beth's here. Reseller Rowboat, welcome, sweetie. How are you doing? We're talking about musical influences in our lives, basically. And so let me go back now. Where were we? What was I supposed to do as a kid? No, we were up past that. I think I left it where Mary popped in, maybe.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, just a second. There we go. How's that? Putting Spanish for the country when first born song. Yeah, don't tell him. Don't tell him. Well, it's true though, and then of course the version you hear is the version you always think is the best too. Usually, a lot of sometimes not.
You know what I think is really crazy, and this isn't exactly on this topic, but it is on music. It's crazy that it took until the 2000s for a Spanish language song to hit #1 on the Hot 100.
Yeah,
because there were songs in Italian, German, French, and Japanese that all hit the #1 spot in the 1950s and 60s. And Despacito was the first song primarily in the Spanish language to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. And I'm like, how did that happen?
Justin Bieber.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, how come it took so long?
I don't know. And Selena never
It
hit
didn't make any sense to me.
How did Selena never hit the top 100?
She'd been on the Hot 100, but she'd never hit #1.
Oh, I see. To hit #1.
Yeah, and I'm taking all the way to #1, and I was just like, wow, that's crazy. I mean, Jennifer Lopez had songs partially in Spanish, and so did John Cicada, but they weren't primarily in Spanish as Despacito was. So I'm like, that just blows my mind, especially with, the Hispanic culture being so huge in the States these days. It does not make any sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. It is crazy. Jennifer says had one 45 song we used to listen to as a kid on a little record player. It was called Chirp a Chirp a Cheep Cheep.
Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep, I think is what Jennifer's thinking of.
Who sang it?
And I can't remember. I know the artist, but I cannot remember. I want to say it was Dawn and somebody sissin'. It was in the late 1970s, I believe, early 70s. And that's one I don't have, and I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep. Middle of the Road has a release of it. What year? 70s?
70s.
Right? Middle of the Road is what they say. Scottish pop band is what comes up on Discogs. Not the Chirpin' Crickets. Oh, there's also Laylee Stout. Middle of the Road. That's weird. If you can find it. That is a strange. I gotta listen to that too. Let me write it down. Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep.
Mac and Katie Kissoon.
Oh, Katie
hit the chart with it in 1971.
There you go. You'd have a better idea. I knew you'd have a better idea.
You've probably heard it because it's been in TV commercials, and I mean, it's been everywhere over the years eventually.
Okay.
And interestingly, it was on the chart around the same time as Tennessee Birdwalk. There were a lot of bird songs out that year.
I love that. I love the
We're
Tennessee Bird
popular.
Walk. Now that one I know. I know
Yeah.
the Tennessee Bird Walk.
I played
Yes.
that on Obscuria not that long ago, a few months ago. Yeah.
I love that song. We got together in 2002. Okay, but 2001, probably 2002. Uh-uh. She can still remember the beginning. We're gonna just send you the link and let you come on and sing it for us, Jennifer. Watch out. It might happen. It won't happen. You know us. The Wizard of Oz Choice. Then we had that one already. Okay, so we did see that one. Aw, she's so sweet. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
So Angry Otters, Michael's welcome, welcome, welcome. And we're going to be on with Angry Otter and a few other people. Glams is doing a Pride auction coming up, so we're going to be on with a few people, which is very cool. Let's see what else. Going Mom Knows Treasures. I was going to say Lang. Yeah, made it. Made the list. Sometimes it's easy to guess. Sometimes. Oh, wait a minute. Katie does a cover of. Yeah, I've heard that one too. Katie Lang does a cover of The Joker.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like that song at all, do you? Even if she doesn't.
No, I just talked about that in Robert's Lottery. That was the song I voted to jettison forever.
Oh, I haven't checked out the lottery yet. I have to do that.
I think Dawn knows that too, don't you, Dawn?
Kind of. Is there metal got abandoned by the crew DJ? Ah, there you go. The City of Heroes. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Everybody's loving you, Patrick. Mary says hi to Patrick. All right. As recent as last week, I had a member saying they heard it. Really? True. There you go. Okay. This is Mac and something. So that's the one. Okay. Station game called Cape Radio. Molly Crew. All right. Am I caught up? Only the bird song I know is Rockin' Robin.
Yeah.
Sweet lady. There you go. Now you gotta go check out the Tennessee Bird Walk. You must go check out the Tennessee Bird Walk. There you go. All right. And oh yeah, Hallelujah is a great song that she does.
Yeah.
She does a really good version of that.
Mm.
I agree.
I much prefer Katie's version to Jeff Buckley, which everybody loves. I'm not a big fan of his version, so
yeah. There did somebody did Take Me to Church on the Queen of the Universe. Have you been watching that? Queen of the Universe is on Paramount Plus, kids. It's drag queens from all over the world actually singing. So they're actually singing.
They're not doing just lip sync like they do on RuPaul.
No, they actually perform. And somebody did. I'm waiting for him to do Hallelujah, but somebody did Take Me to Church. So anyway, which is another song that I think gets linked in with Hallelujah in the same kind of way. All right, so we would love you guys to put in the comments or in the chat. Keep going with groups or artists that influenced you or have had a strong influence in your life or have meant something to you or you just enjoy. So the conversation can continue even after we're gone, but we would love to hear that as well. And also, we would love to know what you guys want to talk about next time. Just throw it out there.
Yeah, because we're always looking for topic ideas, so please.
Decent topic ideas are always welcome. And if something that you really want to get into and talk about, we would love to get there with you.
Yvonne wants to know what the name of that show was again.
What name of what show?
The one that you've been watching with the music, the drag queen.
It's called Queen of the Universe.
Queen of the Universe, okay.
And it's in its second season, and it's on Paramount Plus this year. I don't know where it was last year. It might have been on Amazon, but I can't remember. But this season, second season, which is just starting this month, is on Paramount Plus. There you go.
Cool beans.
Yep, Queen of the Universe. There we go. Mary put it in there for me. Thank you, dear. Not a problem. Okay, sir. We're wrapping up. It's like 5 minutes to go before we hit the hour. Where
Uh-huh.
would you like to tell everybody you're going to be and what you're going to be doing, and talk about your cool new intros and some of the stuff you've got coming up?
I got lots of stuff coming up.
You bet.
June is my month. I'm going to be doing a lot of new stuff and a lot of interesting stuff. And hopefully you'll be able to come by and check it out. Most of my stuff debuts at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And I have shows Tuesday through Sunday in that time slot. Plus we have the daily Obscuria Monday through Friday at 11. This Saturday, that's June 10th, is it not? The debut of the TKR Power Tracks 50 Countdown. And 2 weeks from today, we'll be back here with this hosted by me, but on both channels.
That was easy. That was almost too easy.
I can run down all the titles if you want me to, but I think people can find them.
Yeah, just go to his channel if you're not there already, because we are simulcasting this, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, go check it out. Definitely, and also in the link below, like we said earlier, down below is in the description of this video is the link to the playlist for TC's Influencers series. It is amazing. You guys got to check it out. He gets a little more in depth on things, and I think I enjoy listening to him all the time. I was just jazzed and tickled to death that the first one was the Carpenters. But hey, it's like, oh yeah, you made a friend now, baby. You made a friend.
Oh yeah, I had to do Carpenters first. I mean, that was just a given. I got my big three in the first season. And each one of them had at least an hour. Carpenters, Def Leppard, and Hanson, who was the one I didn't talk about today. So
you did good. You did good. The Chicago song that played at the Karate Kid 2, at the end of Karate Kid 2. Oh yeah. Aw, yeah. How sweet.
I did that on Obscuria about 3 weeks ago.
It's a good
Glory
song.
of Love by Peter Cetera.
Yep, it's a good song.
It is a good song. Great song.
For sure. Okay, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anybody here, by the way. Early for tomorrow's show, but I'm going to drop the food reference. Well, thank you. Pizza. I haven't had pizza in a while. Maybe it's time for pizza again. Thank you, Patrick. Oh my God. We're doing the yes. Tomorrow's show. So let me tell you where we're going to be. Tomorrow, noon Eastern time, we are doing a show called Chick Chat, which we do all the time. And most of you guys are there. So thank you all for supporting that. And anybody who hasn't been there, come by, check us out. We talk about many things, sometimes all at the same time. And yes, Patrick, we probably will talk about food again. And then we're doing Whatnot still. We're still doing Whatnots, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We bring a handful of 45s, play them, which is wonderful because you can't do that on YouTube, and give you a taste of the song and let you hear the condition. We pipe it directly in. You're not running it through a microphone, which is lovely because I hate that tinny. It just sounds when you're playing through.
You guys sound great on Whatnot.
Super. I'm glad that, and I appreciate that because I've worked hard to make that happen. So we'll play the music. What we'll do is we go through, play about a minute and a half. If it doesn't get a bid, we'll just take it off and play the next one. If it does, we'll play the whole thing all the way through. So that's kind of fun. And then Wednesday, we're on Johnny's Hump Day auction where we do our handful or 15 plus ones for 45s and other items, which is kind of fun.
Where TC buys most of his 45s.
And where TC buys most of his 45s, yes. There's also, I believe, Deals of the Dawns going on this week as well, which is where you buy 40 of them at least.
Mystery boxes from Deals of the Dawns.
Oh, man. Exactly. Do you want to pop in here? You want to come in? No? After the show. Mary just came downstairs. She got a box. She got a package.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and let me see what else. Oh, Friday's Deals of the Dawns, and that's when we do that. So Tuesday and Thursdays is Chick Chat. We do that at noon, and we would love to see you guys there for any of it. It's fun. We do a little sing-along on Wednesdays, and we just have a good time. So TC can probably, again, can commit a half an hour of his weekly show to just us and what he buys from us. Poor guy.
Just about. It seems like it.
He ran a lot longer this last show because of all the 45s you got. But
I got to show this one.
Almost.
Yeah, almost. And notice what I didn't mention at all.
Yeah, I know.
Not the season. Season's over.
Season's over. No, our numbers will come back next time. For sure. For sure. Oh my gosh. Too funny. All right. Well, I guess we should say goodbye then, kids. If, like I said, please, we'd love to hear your comments after the show's over. Let us know what you want to hear from us, what you want to talk about, and we'd love to hear more of your influences as well.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out all the shows we have to offer.
That's right.
Hey, there you go. Yvonne got it in. And I didn't have to mention it.
Go, Yvonne, go. One. There you go. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Next, in 2 weeks, it'll be on TC's channel, but we will simulcast as well. And we'd love to see you show up for that and kind of, bring your ideas with it. We'd love to talk music. I'm sure you guys do too, or you wouldn't be here.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you next time.
Ciao, baby.
Two hip kicks.